Hindi ko sasagasaan yung gago ba ako para sagasaan siya? Oh my God! No! Give me the original and I'm gonna pay at Metro
Ma'am, sa
Bank.
office na lang po namin.
Good morning everyone, the Mmda are back on the road. Right now they're near Camp Krame. At the moment they're issuing a ticket to this vehicle here. You can see it's parked on the pedestrian crossing. There is a driver inside. They're also going to look at these vehicles parked here. So the car at the back will get a ticket because there's a driver. These two here don't have drivers, so if they don't appear in time they'll be towed away to clear the obstruction. If you look up there is a sign that says no parking towaway zone. So you can see that vehicle that's parked on the pedestrian crossing is now left. Someone who works nearby came out and said that these vehicles are here pretty much every day. He said they come from the condo building over there and they park here because they don't have to pay, whereas over there they have to pay an expensive parking fee. Of course, if your car gets towed, that's going to be a lot more expensive. And here goes one of those cars now. And this one is going up now also. There's actually a lot of water leaking out the back of this because the windows were open and the cabin is filled up with water, I guess where it was raining earlier this morning. Anyway, that one's leaving. And you can see further down the road they already picked up a black car also, and slightly further down the road they've also picked up this one. You can see there's a sign there, no parking both sides. Over here is another vehicle, partially on the sidewalk, partially in the road, directly below a sign that says no parking both sides. So they're hooking up the tow bar now to take it away. And actually here's something very interesting. The last time I was here with IACT, they removed these posts here. You can see this pink line here shows the break between private property and public property. So what IACT did was remove these posts, and actually you can see this is one of the ones that they hit with a hammer. They bent it, or they smashed it down till it was this thin, and then they broke it off. But they've actually installed new posts here, so that's quite interesting. And over here they stopped a motorcycle. The back rider wasn't wearing a helmet. Over here the towing crew are getting hooked up to this one. Again, you can see it's obstructing the sidewalk, so they'll be taking this one away to clear it. Over here they're using the flatbed to pick up this one, obstructing the sidewalk. And just behind that they're picking up that black one over there, same reason, obstructing the sidewalk. So that one's already up on the truck, and the same with that black one over there, already on the truck. Over here you can see they're connecting the black one to the back of a flatbed that has a car on top also. Further down the road they're looking at this one, they just issuing a ticket.
Po?
Taga-MMDA po kami.
Opo, nagsasorry po ako kasi papasok na ako sa opisina.
Oo.
So,
Pero ma'am,
dumaan po.
ganito po hindi po natin kailangan murahin yung enforcer. Una, hindi po natin kailangan murahin. Nagpapatupad lang po yan ng batas.
Kaya lang po, masyado na nila akong niratrag kanina. So,
Hindi po.
hey, I don't need camera. Hey,
Tingnan po.
I
Ma'am.
don't need camera.
Tingnan nyo po, no parking both sides.
Yes, I know.
Okay. So now we know.
So, nakikiusap
Nasa
ako.
lisensya.
Opo, sorry. Nakikiusap ako, boss, na aalis na ako, papasok ako sa office. So, in 5 minutes,
Yes.
take me a time to dress up. And then,
Wala po akong problema doon, ma'am. Ang sa akin lang, kung nasa AFP kayo, ako sundalo din po ako.
Okay,
Retired
sorry.
po ako.
Okay, sorry.
Nag-servicio din po ako sa
So,
AFP.
meaning,
So,
I have
po,
to say sorry, I have to say
Oo.
sorry, I'm sorry. Nagbibihis lang po ako dahil papasok ako.
sige. Ito
So,
naman tapusin
please,
na natin yung
yes,
apprehension.
aalis ako. Aalis na ako dito.
Alin natin yung apprehension, tapusin na nga natin.
Driver's license nyo. Sa office na lang po tayo mag-usap kasi ma'am nagkaroon po tayo ng pagtatalo sa rin, namura nyo po kami. Yung kasamahan ko po, inaabantihan nyo ng sasakyan kanina po. So, hindi po pwede po yung gano'n ma'am. Meron kaming video na magpapatunay po. So, sa office na lang po tayo, meron po kaming legal. Okay lang po? Tapos po noon, makukuha nyo naman po yung driver's license sa bago. Sa main office namin po sa MMDA. Sa Orense po, Makati. So, tomorrow po, punta ko kayo, mamaya po, para maano kayo bukas. Magkakaroon tayo ng hearing.
Hindi ko alam.
Sa MMDA office po, ma'am.
Hindi ko alam yun. I have to pay now.
No, ma'am, sa Metrobank po. Any Metrobank branches or bayad
Sige na,
center.
bigyan mo na ako ng babayaran. Magbabayad na ako ngayon. Akin na yung license ko. Magbabayad ako ngayon. Ibigay niyo yung license ko.
Ma'am, ito po, ma'am.
O sige, akin na yung license ko. Babayad ako ngayon sa Metrobank. Just give my license and I will pay.
Ma'am, ito po ang license niya na po, ma'am. Ito po.
No, I want my license and
Ma'am,
I will
kasi
pay
ma'am,
at Metrobank.
ma'am, kinumpis ka ko po, ma'am. Meron po kasi tayo, ma'am, nagkaroon po tayo ng pagtatalo po. Nakakasakit na po kay kanina po ng mga ano.
Hindi ko sasagasaan yung gago ba ako para sagasaan siya? Oh my God! No! Give me the original and I'm gonna pay at Metro
Ma'am, sa
Bank.
office na lang po namin.
Yeah. No, ayoko pumunta doon. And
Doon na lang po tayo
Hahanapin mo
mag-usap
sa
po, ma'am.
office. No, no.
Doon lang po.
Give my license and I'm gonna pay at Metro Bank. Yun lang
ma'am.
gusto ko. No, bigay mo na yung license.
Sa office na lang po, sir. Ma'am.
Ayoko. Huwag mo kuningan. Akin na yung lisensya ko. Magbabayad ako. Sige na, please. Please, huwag niyo akong aestresen. Ayoko ma-hospital. Huwag niyo akong payakin. Akin na yung license ko.
Ma'am, kinumpis ako po, ma'am.
Akin na yung license ko.
Ma'am, sa office na lang po tayo.
No, ayoko ma-hospital. Akin na yung license ko. Ayoko ma-hospital na. No, akin na yung license ko. Kung babayad ako, magbabayad ako.
Sa office na lang, ma'am.
No, akin na. Akin na yung license ko.
So they're now on 2nd Avenue. You can see there's a truck parked here. Lots of motorcycles here. There was actually a lot of motorcycles who got towed away from here before. Further down the road is a sign that says motorcycle parking. So there is parking available, but often people don't want to pay. You can see here they're getting a flatbed in place to tow away this huge truck. And they're also bringing in this one to tow away this car. And here goes that silver one now. They're actually having to push this one from behind because the winch isn't strong enough to get it on there. And there you go, it's on the truck now. Further down the road they've also picked up this one. Again, no parking both sides, so that's why it's being towed away. It looks like one of the drivers has arrived with the impounded cars. They're just giving him advice now about where the car's been taken and how to get it back. Sometimes if you tow the vehicle with someone in authority, they'll try and use that position to get out of the penalty. But this officer, I don't know his exact position, sorry, but this man from the PMP, he said, I'm completely happy to pay the fine, there's no problem. I made a mistake, so I'll go pay for the vehicle and get it back. So it's really good to see that actually.
It is not intentional, sir. Actually, we have our flag racing, so our vehicles, the area, the ground for the parking area is not enough for us. At any rate, sir, what I know, because this is the only side where the no parking was placed. At the other side, there is no sign, yes. So, my honest presumption is it is allowed.
So I now transferred to a TEC operation with MMDA. They do things like maintaining the traffic signal lights, installing new signal lights, replacing the bulbs. They also manage some of the street lights, although street lights can also be handled by the LGU or even by the barangay. So that's why sometimes you see so many different types of street lights. Anyway, I just thought I'd join them today so we can get an idea of exactly what they do on a daily basis. Not just, you know, catching traffic violators, but also other things that need to be done. Now, what you might notice is that some people are holding umbrellas. That's the reality. Even if it's raining, you still have to do repairs. You can see they're up there getting ready now. I asked them, how long does it normally take if someone reports a broken signal light? They told me that some of them are under warranty, so they're handled by the contractor. But normally within 2 to 4 hours, they'll fix them. But if somebody, for instance, a contractor has dug into the ground and they've cut power lines or fiber lines, it could be a couple of days. And you can see on the other side, they're also servicing another signal light. Actually, I think they just finished because it looks like they're moving out now. Scratch that, they're not finished. They're just moving to another signal light in the middle here. They might even need to get the trees cut down a little bit. I'm not sure if it's also their department that does that, or in fact, it looks like he's breaking off the branches now. So he's answering all my questions as I'm talking. And you can see he's actually removing more branches up above. That's good. It's better to trim it back further than needs be because it's just going to grow back over the light anyway. It looks like for this one they're planning to bring down the whole unit to be serviced. And over here you can see the man who's facilitated me on today's operation.
I'm Engineer Francisco Pisino Jr., the head of the Traffic Signal Operation and Maintenance Division under the Traffic Engineering Center.
So here's the signal light. Normally you wouldn't see it up this close, and they're actually a lot bigger than you'd think. When you see them hanging, they don't look that big, but they're pretty darn big. And these aren't like the older ones, these are the newer style LED type. Okay, so there's not too much to see inside actually, just a terminal block and then the back of the light unit. Pretty simple, but of course all the brains are in this yellow box here. This is where the traffic controller is. A lot of graffiti on there, but that's where all the brains of it are. Of course this only has to be the basic unit. And if you look inside here, there's a lot more than I expected. I guess there must be a lot of lights that come in here and you see a lot of different relays. Very interesting. So they fixed whatever the problem was and it's time to put it back up on the post. So it slots into a bracket on the pole, and then I think they use extra brackets on the back to lock it down tight into place. So they just explained now, these ones are 200mm lights, so the smaller ones. These ones up here are 300mm. This is a secondary. The idea is on bigger intersections, if the first one fails for whatever reason, you have a secondary. And then on larger roads, for instance, maybe EDSA, they'd have one in the middle as well. They'd call that a tertiary reference. So you'd have 3 different signal lights. They've nearly finished with this. They can close it up, come down, turn it on, and hopefully everything will be okay. And here's something interesting. The strap actually comes on a reel. They just cut it to whatever size they want. It's pretty interesting. So now comes the electronics. Turn on what looks to be a breaker, then turn on the controller. Everything looks to have come back online without any problems. Let's check the light. And yeah, there you go. You can see that one's on, the pedestrian lane's on, this pedestrian lane's on, and there you go. You can see the light is on again. I'm not sure how well you can see it on camera. So I've just come down the road now. They're showing me a plan for a new signal light. Is that right?
The plan is to put up a traffic signal on 4 different corners of the intersections, including the removal of this part of the island, about 8 meters.
Okay.
Then, on the other area, we have to put an island to embrace the facilities.
So right now, this vehicle here, for example, he's turning left, but technically they're counterflowing a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But once you cut back that island, they'll be able to go forwards and then make a left turn, because this is very unorganized, right?
What we are going to do is to bolt this tree and plant it on the other side.
Okay, so
So no trees will be cut down.
So right now they're marking out exactly where they're going to cut this island back by. As you saw earlier, cars from here, they're actually having to turn against the flow of the traffic just to make a turn. It's only by a small amount, but it just doesn't work. This isn't the right way to do things. So that's why they're going to knock out this island so that they can go straight and then turn left. And of course they're going to install lights and make it into a proper intersection. So in the back here you can see they've got the traffic signs to be installed. Can't read this one, but I recognize that one as pedestrian crossing. They've got the jackhammer here. It's actually a third-party contractor that does the installation of these signs. It's not the MMDA themselves. So the sign that they're installing over here is no loading, unloading anytime. Of course, this is a common problem, especially with the jeepneys. They like to hang out around signal lights. The problem is that they can actually delay everybody, because even if the light is green, they'll sometimes just sit there blocking the whole intersection. And of course at this point there are 2 things that are crucial. 1, it needs to be level, and 2, it needs to be facing the right direction towards the road. So they have to be very careful to get this right, otherwise you have to start all over again, and that would be a nightmare. So right now they're just moving out the top and onto the next one, I guess. And actually this is something I'm glad to see. They're taking away the broken rocks. Sometimes with certain projects, like road projects, you see that they just leave huge chunks of concrete on the pavement or on the road. So it's good to see they're actually cleaning up behind themselves. So this large hole over here will actually be for the signal light itself. Although they're not going to be installing the signal light today, what they have to do first is install the footings. Apparently that takes 2 weeks to cure, but it does need a very secure foundation because, you know, it's going to be a signal light, big heavy signal light. This is like a conduit that runs between all the different lights. The idea is that they run everything underground. It has pros and cons. Of course, it looks much better than all these wires that go overhead, but the downside is that if someone digs down, they could damage your wires because they're running power and fiber optic.
I am Engineer Mmda, Chief of Planning and Design.
Now, from what they told me, this kind of thing is normally done at night to avoid any kind of traffic, but there are times that they have to do it during the day, and this is going to be one of those days. So that's what they're putting on now, the primer, this one.
Yeah, this one. This is the primer. The primer.
And this will help the thermoplastic adhere to the road.
Yes, exactly. Applicator, right there.
Okay, so this one's already been primed, that's why it looks wet on the ground.
The purpose of the yellow box is to keep intersection open at all times.
Yeah. So you should never be stopped inside the yellow box.
That's a yellow box.
So you can see this guy here is throwing glass beads on top of the thermoplastic. They said it's already reflected by itself, but they add glass beads on top just to make it more reflective. How long would you expect these markings to last?
This one will last 3 to 4 years.
Okay, that's pretty good, 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
So you can see here what they've done is they buried off just this small section here. They do half the road. It only takes 3 to 5 minutes to dry. Once it's dry, they can then do the other half and block off that, let them come here. So minimal disruption to traffic, and actually there's not many cars on the road right now, so it's not too bad. You can see over here, this one's looking kind of worn out. You can barely see it anymore. And then when you look at these ones, they're super bright. It's nothing better than seeing like a fresh coat of paint going down on the road. It really looks good. So I just tried touching this one, it's already solid. There's no stickiness, there's nothing. It's already dry, and it's actually pretty thick. It's a pretty thick layer, so yeah, pretty cool to see. And you can see it's already dry, and there's vehicles going over this without any problems. And although they haven't finished marking this one yet, you can see people already following the marking, so that's good to see. It's nice to have a little bit of buffer space between the pedestrian crossing, just as an extra safety. So they already finished putting down the lines over there. They're still doing a little bit more work. Unfortunately, I have to go ahead, so I won't be able to see them finish this. The good thing is that it dries so fast that they can pretty much work just between the light cycles. So if you enjoyed today's video, it's a little bit different, please give a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. There's something I need to say. A few days ago there was an enforcer, a female enforcer. She was hit by an armored van. Unfortunately, she did die. She was only 27 years old. Her name was Maricel Gamad. I didn't post about it because honestly I didn't know what to say. I was following the live updates while she was in the hospital. I was hoping for the best. Unfortunately, she did die. I don't have any words. There's nothing that can make her family feel better. There's nothing that can bring her back. I just hope that at least her family knows there's so many people that were thinking about her, that were really rooting for her to pull through, and that somehow they get through this. So unfortunately I don't have much to say, but we all feel for you, and I'm very sad for her death.